mattressfm.news.
From Nassau to North Dakota, Mattress Firm's Sheldon King is here to talk about his philosophy of speaking life into every challenge, why he believes in failing fast, and how he keeps Jason and Dean on their toes. The Fam Podcast starts right now. Hey, are you a mattress retailer looking to supercharge your business? Introducing Podium, your secret weapon. I use it. I'm a huge fan of it. And with Podium's AI-powered lead conversion, you can engage with customers in seconds via text, making it feel like they're talking to a friend. But hey, that's just the beginning. Podium offers texting, payments, reviews, website chat, and more, all in one place. You've got to be the most responsive retailer to help customers solve those sleep problems in the moment. Harness the power of Podium today and start growing your business. Visit podium.com right now to learn more.
Welcome to the FAM Podcast with Mark Kinsley. This is where the best in the betting business get even better.
Welcome to the FAM Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Kinsley, and I'm so excited to have on the show today Sheldon King. Sheldon, thank you so much for being here. First of all, I said it in the tease for the show, from Nassau to North Dakota. You grew up in the Bahamas, but like
Yes.
most people that grow up on islands, you want to go to North Dakota from the moment you're born, right?
Yeah, right. Absolutely. No, it's the other way around. You want to visit the Bahamas, and I went the polar opposite way. Well, went here for school, of course, but fell in love with the people, fell in love with the culture, which is funny. But yeah, no, North Dakota is a great place, especially to raise your kids. So I love it. I love it here.
Yeah, you fell in love with the people, the culture, and you also fell in love with a woman.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bailey, my joy. She's always been there. My rock from day two, I guess you could say. We've been together now going on 13 years, 11 married, but it's been a wonderful experience. And to be involved with even the people in her subculture, because she's a barrel racer and a trainer and a coach. So she does quite a bit in the Western culture, and all of our kids are growing up real nice and following her in her footsteps. So it's a really remarkable thing. No, she's a joy.
Has she gotten you on a horse? Do you like to ride horses?
I would say if it's for work, yes. If we have a task, I'll finish the task. But to just go out and trail ride and anything like that, I'll probably pass. But it is fun when you have a task to finish.
Wait, so I got to ask though, what are some of the tasks that you have to finish on horseback these days?
Okay, so bringing in the cattle from one pasture to the next, you may have to, corral them in. For the last 5 years or so, I got away with not going horseback and just maybe going in the Kubota to reel them in or being the gate jockey so they don't run past me. So I sold my way out of that job on horseback, but my kids love it, absolutely love it. It's a beautiful country where we live, so it's an enjoyable thing for most. I'm sure if I grew up with it, it would have been awesome. Just not my cup of tea.
Well, hey, congratulations though on being so adventurous that you obviously moved from the Bahamas and then you went to school in North Dakota. You met your wife, and you have 3 beautiful children now. And there's a lot of horseback riding and cattle wrangling, it sounds like.
Oh yeah.
When you're not
going, yep. All
what
that
else?
Stuff. Oh, we're big in the rodeo community. Like she's pretty much famous. But all of my kids are doing the junior rodeo stuff now, and breaking horses even. To see them evolve every year, it's a pretty fascinating thing. Where I didn't even grow up with animals around me. Now they're all around me. It's a really special thing. Not one that I don't take for granted. That's for sure.
That's amazing. So whenever you're not on a horseback or you're playing gate jockey or in the Kubota rounding up cattle, you're spending time working for Mattress Firm North Dakota. Yes. Jason Sellers, Dean Sather, I mean, the whole crew up there, an amazing group of people, 10 stores in North Dakota. And actually, congratulations on recently opening your 10th store. I know that's a recent addition. So how did you go from this, little boy in the Bahamas to cattle driver in North Dakota who sells mattresses and is married to somebody that's famous in the rodeo community?
Well, now you put it like that, that seems like a lot, huh? Um, well, I mean, so Bailey and I met in college. We went to Dickinson State University, so just an hour and a half west of Bismarck here. But we met. I was in track and field. I did high jump, and she was again in the rodeo community. And we met. We met through mutual friends, and the connection was there. And I knew I was about to graduate, and she didn't realize I wasn't coming back. So we did a one-way for her, a one-way for me and a round trip for her. And that time apart is what really made it special and worth it to come back. Because I knew what I had. I knew what my future would hold there. And when we moved back here, getting all the fiance visa stuff situated, I couldn't work for 2 years. I couldn't work for 2 years as it was getting through. And yes, it was part my fault. I didn't do the necessary steps right away before I came back. So it took a little longer. But in that time frame, I, did the multi-level marketing stuff, anything I could do to stay busy and get paid legally. I tried, which got my sales, experience started. But yeah, we met in college. We got married. We had 90 days to do it once we got all the paperwork done, which is a trip to try to navigate that world. But the same token, within the 90 days of getting married, I also had 90 days to find a job. So what kept me here was I found a job at Men's Warehouse, to where they taught me how to dress to represent myself. And I spent a lot of money there. I was their best customer. And then these boys came in one day scouting. Dean and Jason and Harry and Charlie, they all came in just looking for new talent as they opened up their first store. And right away, I was like, mattresses? I don't know anything about it. I didn't vibe with the group right away. It was such a big, grandiose group, when me, just this small town kid. And they're like, hey, you're good. You should join our team. And I was like, It took me about 6 months to join the team. I was really skeptical at first, but they invited me to their grand opening party when they opened their Dickinson location. So it was kind of, symbiotic, where, I know some people there. And we met at Grand Round. But to see them outside of a store interacting and having a great time, I was like, okay, maybe I should give this a try. But it wasn't until I actually did the interview with Jason, and we had a situation in the store where we had to help an elderly lady get on top of a bed. And as soon as she laid down, she fell asleep. And I was like, this is bigger than just selling a product. We're changing lives here. So I really wanted to be a part of that from day one. And the journey has been great ever since.
Well, thanks for sharing that. I had to go back to something, because from my position in the industry, I talk to a lot of different business owners. And a lot of times I say team is the theme. People are always trying to find really good talent. So a lot of people are like, how do I find good talent? How do I find good people? And I feel like we just heard a masterclass from the recipient of a job standpoint, in how to go find good people. Go shop. And whenever you find somebody that's amazing, tell them they're amazing and ask them to join your team. Is that how it happened? You said you're skeptical, but they clearly were like, no, we see something in you.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, the beautiful part about that scenario, it took a long time, because if you're looking for good quality talent, like you said, they obviously have a position or something that they're focused on currently, that they're not just going to jump ship because you ask them to. So you have to build that relationship, build that bond, build that trust with them. And that takes some time. And sometimes we tend to forget that we're building relationships. This industry we're in, we're not just selling product. we're building relationships, we're changing lives, we're doing all that stuff. But it starts with the building relationships. Someone has to trust you in order for them to leave what they're doing blindly and say, hey, I give you everything. I give you my family, I give you my time, and I trust that you're going to take me to where I need to go. So yeah, building relationships is pivotal for finding people, for keeping people, for taking care of guests, the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
So you said were you doing the interview with Jason whenever the elderly person came into the store and needed help getting up on the mattress?
So I'll be transparent with you. I mix two pivotal scenarios in my head constantly. I remember the store lights being off and me and Jason doing the interview. And then I remember it switches to us helping the lady on the bed and the store lights on. So yes, we had to stop the interview to help her on the bed. But I don't recall everything else after that. All I know is it's a memory that's burnt in my head as such a passion-filled moment. I mean, the daughters were crying. The lady didn't want to be in the store. She was in a wheelchair. Like the whole scenario was just too profound to be like, wow. And yeah, they bought a bed. It was only maybe like $1,000. It wasn't nothing crazy, but she didn't want to be there. The daughters tricked her into coming there. She thought she was going to the shoe store next door, but she needed the experience, and I was just there to witness it, and that just stuck with me for a long time, man. Mm-hmm.
You know, I've changed my thinking on some things lately, and you know, for the longest time, I was of the school of thought that like we really need to be promoting sleep, but what I realized is that's fine, but we're in the promotions and purpose business. And if we can promote and get people into the store with a great deal or a value that's going to serve their needs, their family's needs the best, and then we can have a conversation about sleep, or we can connect them to the meaning and the purpose behind, you know, what it means to actually lie down and have a good night's rest and feel rejuvenated and not feel pain, or toss and turn less, or fix some of the sleep problems that we have with these great sleep products. That's the purpose behind it. And so I've sort of like married those two things up in my mind and made peace with it. And it's almost like two opposite thoughts living in your head at the same time. We can be in the promotions and purpose business. And it sounds like you saw that purpose really quickly.
See, yeah, exactly. It's a blending of both, because we can get distracted sometimes by how much we have to do, or what promotions out there, or what savings we can get. But remember, in fact, I don't think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, this has to be the most intimate purchase a person can make. It's a lot of money. It's super personal when they're in the store laying down trying to figure out what these beds feel like. And then it may not be the right one. So their decision-making factors in their head mentally are through the roof. And then we stand in front of them and tell them, okay, this will work for you, or this may not. They have to trust you no matter what. So yes, it's a grudge purchase, but are we really listening to what they're saying? Is this the right product for what they need? Are we creating the environment where they're comfortable to come back to us and say, hey, this is not working out. I need to switch it. So 100%, I think we're more in the service industry than we are in sales. And that's just my personal opinion, because guests who come in, no matter what product they buy, if they're not comfortable with it and they don't want to tell you they aren't comfortable with it, I don't think I did my job at that point. So I wax poetic at the end or throughout, being like, look, I don't care what you buy. You could buy this $500 bed or this $5,000 bed. It serves me no purpose if you don't like it. So please, please, please come back and tell me so we can figure it out. So Dean and I coined this phrase, we're solutions engineers. You come in with a problem, we're going to solve it. Whether we have the product that you need or not, we're going to at least walk you through step by step until you figure this out. And then times it by hundreds, because we have so many people we help, you know what I mean? But it needs to be service first, then the money will come.
Service first, then the money will come. Solutions engineers, I like that. We're here talking with Sheldon King of Mattress Firm North Dakota. He's the territory sales manager. He's from the Nassau area, Bahamas. Now he's in North Dakota, has been for a good stretch of his life at this point, where he ran track and married Bailey and has 3 kids. And is a part-time cattle wrangler. Sheldon, you talked about previously this idea of speaking life into every moment, every challenge. What do you mean by that?
Well, to keep it plainly, most individuals in their entire life never speak positively to themselves. In fact, we practice speaking negative thoughts all the time. Don't do this. Watch out. Beware. All those just negative connotations. So if you say something, it should be positive, or it should be life-filling. So all I mean by speak life is no matter what you believe, religion, ethnic group, whatever, as long as you're hearing yourself say something that is life-fulfilling, it's going to work out. It's going to work out for you no matter what. And if you say it even once, it's going to happen. So don't speak anything that you don't want to happen. That concept is pretty simple, pretty simplistic even, almost too simplistic. We like to complicate things in general as humans. But if you're just speaking life, you can hear yourself speak the words, it's going to happen. So make sure it's something that you want to happen. It's rewarding, it's fulfilling, it's uplifting, versus all of the negative connotations that we can do in a day in, day out business. So yeah, just choose to speak life versus speaking, dare I say, death.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the power of words, it's almost like this genie gets out of a bottle whenever it falls out of your mouth. And I'm telling you, like, you know, thoughts go through your head, and that's one thing. But the beauty about a thought is you can choose to respond to that thought, not react. You know, I hope people don't just react to every thought they have or every emotion they feel. You can choose to come from a place of responsiveness. I'm going to respond to this thought. I've got this favorite quote by a 13th century philosopher named Rumi that is, the quote is, "Live life as if everything is rigged in your favor." And I think it marries up nicely with what you're talking about, because if you do live life as if everything's rigged in your favor, the things that come out of your mouth are filled with perspective on a moment, even if that moment might be challenging. Because you can look at that moment and say, good, what does this allow me to learn? Good, how does this allow me to grow? So speaking life and everything, every moment, I think that sort of has a close cousin there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and too, talking about the perspective aspect, you're retraining your brain to think positively. And I try not to say positive or negative, because sometimes you don't even need to say that, but you're retraining your brain just to speak life, speak positive thoughts, speak things that you want to hear versus the negative. And life in general don't teach us or classify things in certain lights. So when people even hear me say this, sometimes they don't quite get it. They don't understand it. So I have to circle back and remind them, hey, you're having an awesome day. You're going to have a fantastic day. Even though if your day was not good, it's going to be better, because you want it to be better, right? So it's going to be better. So, and it's just all those things, and just keeping that positive voice around people who may not have a mentor. Like, I've been blessed to have so many great people in my life. I mean, my parents, all of the mentors I've had in the past, Dean, Jason, Harry, Charlie, like all these people I'm blessed to have around me. And a lot of folk don't get this opportunity. So I'm humbled. I thank God all the time just for the people that are around me. So I have to pass that on in some way. And that's the easiest way to do it, is just remind people to watch what they say. So speak life.
With all those people that you've had around you, let's go there for a minute. What are some of your favorite stories? Maybe it's about, you know, Jason, Dean, Harry, Charlie, I mean, Jim Hill, whoever it might be. Like, what are some of your favorite stories over the years from interacting with such amazing individuals in a group?
So I'm sure I have one of everyone, but the biggest one to date is the one from Harry. So it was 2017, I think it was February. He came to the store here, and we had a kickoff event. And I'm sure Jason or Dean and them, they told him that I was not comfortable sharing my story. So he pulled me aside, and I'm like fresh in the mattress game, maybe a year on the floor, not even. But I didn't like sharing my story. And a part of our process is to not just share the franchise story or mattress firm story, but share your personal story with the guests so they can relate with you faster. But for some strange reason, I didn't think, nobody really will care about my story. So I wouldn't talk about myself. I'll talk about the products. I'll talk about how awesome I think they are. You should buy this one. I was very, very spec heavy and I guess pushy. I kind of get myself into a corner. So they said, don't talk about anything but beds. So you need to figure out your story. And he pulled me aside and was like, hey, tell me your story. I'm like, okay, I'm from the Bahamas. I went down this, couple of pieces. He's like, oh, wow, that's awesome. And then we went down this rabbit hole and we went down this rabbit hole. And I'm like, I'm actually enjoying talking about myself, but he didn't make me feel like I was telling my story. He was like, wow, that's interesting. So do you fish? I was like, no, I don't fish. And we talked for 5 minutes there. And once we're done, he's like, okay, so we've been talking for 20 minutes now and you've told me everything about you. You need to segment those and share parts of those with your guests when they came in. And I was like, okay, this makes sense. And obviously right away, I didn't do it. I had to practice and figure out how the story matters. And now I have a ton of referrals. I have people come in all the time from this process. So I thank Harry for getting me out of my shell and realizing that talking about myself is not being pompous or arrogant or anything like that. It's just sharing or connecting with the guests in a different way. Because one of the big stories I always tell people is when I hurt my back from doing high jump, it changed my whole world. Like my whole focus was high jump and trying to get to the next level. And once I hurt my back and my knees, I didn't really know where to go at that point. So making some decisions was tough. So that led me here, obviously, to sales and the benefits of selling mattresses. But when I elevate my feet with the adjustable base, it takes my pain away. And that relates with the guests. They get that. They understand pain sucks. And they want to also not be in pain. So that's one story I share 8 out of 10 times, just to make sure the guest knows that I understand pain sucks. And I want to resolve your pain too.
How did that have an impact on your sales? Because one of the things, my friend Doug said this, and I thought it was such a great capture. He says, people connect with your vulnerabilities, not your victories. People connect with your vulnerabilities, not your victories. And I think so often we think it's a professional environment and we don't want to, like you said, you don't want to bloviate about yourself, but there's certain things you can reveal that take the armor away and it shares who you are. And for some reason, we as human beings see that and we see, I can connect to this person. This is not just somebody that's trying to treat me like a transaction. What did you notice in your interactions with people, and what did you notice in your sales numbers once you started doing that?
Okay, so before telling my story, I wasn't doing very well. I was in my own head. I was blocking myself because I wasn't listening to these guys. But as soon as I started to open up and actually put practice to what they were trying to teach me, my sales increased almost dramatically at that point because transparently, I wasn't selling or I wasn't talking to the guests or listening to what they were saying before telling my story. I was trying to sell the product that I didn't even own yet. So that's a whole thing there. But once I started telling my story, they would cut me off and be like, dude, no way. I was in a car accident like 4 years ago and I still have this pinched nerve and they go down that. And I'm like, wow, now I'm curious and I'm actually listening to what they're saying. But that would not have come out in the normal, my normal process. So now 10 years in, I start with that stuff right away. Like, yeah, we ask the normal process, how you sleep and all that stuff. But I try to train this out too. Everyone comes in with that personal, that public persona, that public display that they want to show you, whether it's closed off and they don't want you to talk to them, or whether they're super chatty because that's their wall that they want to put up. They don't want you to close them, that sort of thing. So I always tell my guys, I'm like, look, it's your job to get your guests to drop that public persona that they're showing you and tell you something personal or private very quickly. Because if you can build trust that fast and all the processes we have to get there, if you can build trust that fast, they'll tell you what their problem is, how you can help them solve it, and they'll be so thankful that you did. So when you ask for the referrals at the end, they're more than happy to tell people about what you did because you did something that no other salesperson has done or will do because sadly, they don't care to understand that wall. They want to sell you something. But if you're coming from a place of kindness, like we have a moral obligation to figure out what the guest really wants. And sometimes that means being more assertive. Like, hey, sir, ma'am, I understand what you're telling me you need, but from your conversation, you really need this product. Yes, it costs more. And I have stuff that's half that price. But you're not going to solve your problem by just changing your mattress. You're still sleeping on your stomach. So I will see you in 4 weeks if you put pride aside, if you don't change the way you sleep. But what you really need to do is elevate your feet. Can you do that for me? I'm going to call you in 2 weeks now. Just building the rapport there, just so they know it's comfortable and you're not just selling a thing. You're trying to actually solve their problems.
Well, I can tell you that from having conversations with, Jason and Dean, anybody that's listening to the show right now and you're like, well, I got to be like a little vulnerable. And then, sometimes I need to be assertive, but then I need to listen and not reload. And I need to get rid of the spec speak. And I need to actually ask insightful questions that help me understand where this person's really. If you think all this is just mumbo jumbo, guess what? This group, Mattress Firm North Dakota, is crushing it. I know for a fact you are. You're crushing it right now. When everybody else is griping and moaning about the economy. Now, maybe you have an influx of people that are coming out there from the Bahamas and they're moving there because they heard your story. I don't know. But I know that this group is crushing it. So what Sheldon is saying, take it to heart, rewind it, get a pen and paper out, write it down from your own perspective, write down your story, because this stuff really works. What else is working for you? I mean, is there anything else, like if you're going to share some advice, what do we need to know?
So, well, one thing that just came up in my head was you have to duplicate yourself. And I'm so thankful we're finding such amazing people that want to work with us. Our reputation is such that people are coming in, hearing how we take care of our guests, how we take care of internal guests. And now we're getting quite a few referrals and finding really, really great people that want to work, that want to help, that understands this concept that I'm talking about. And yes, we're still selling. We're still, mentioning things, asking for the sale. All that stuff still applies. But when it comes down to it, a lot more people want you to treat them with kindness, treat them with respect, treat them with love. Like all these things that sometimes as men, we don't like to talk about, right? But we all need that. We all need that extra, I get it, man. I understand. I empathize. So we have a ton of people that we're finding that want to work with us and go down this journey of helping people, truly, truly helping people, following up. Even if it's a hard conversation, they are okay to have it. Where, a lot of other sales organizations, they may run from that. We embrace that service attitude of, hey, call me if you have a problem. Especially call me if you have a problem. Don't just keep it or, talk to your friends. No, talk to the source. Let me help you. And then afterwards, I'm going to help your friends too.
Yeah. And I wonder if this relates to one of the things that you told me, which was this idea of failing fast or failing swiftly. Like sometimes when that phone call comes up and you feel like it's a failure for the team, or maybe you recommended the wrong product. Is this an example of failing fast, or what do you mean by that?
Yes. So it's nobody likes to hear the word they failed. Like, so right away, I just put it right in front of their face. Like, not only are you going to fail, you're going to fail so fast that the next time it's not going to be a failure. It's going to be a success. So the faster you fail, the faster you grow, the faster you learn, but you have to do it. I can tell you the theory. I can tell you this is how it should be done. But a lot of these scenarios won't happen until it's right in front of your face and you have to figure it out. Again, we're solutions engineers. That's what we do every single day. We come up with another problem and we find a solution for it. We do it collectively, collaboratively in some cases to solve the problem. And then at the end, we do a postmortem, or we do a review of the scenario, and then we can build a system around that so it doesn't happen again. But if your method isn't based in failing swiftly, then first of all, you won't recognize that you failed. And then sometimes it just stays in your mind. Oh, I'm good. I can do this. Well, you could have done better. You could have offered the protector again because they needed it. No, I'm good. No, you could have offered, financing, because we have a phenomenal financing program. They could have used it. So all those type of things, we grow together, we grow quickly, but we grow through failure. I mean, I think most businesses do that, but do we talk about it? Probably not. So failing swiftly is learning from your mistakes and actually reaching out, being like, hey, Sheldon, I just had this very challenging guess. Let's talk about it. So we talk about it. Come up with a game plan so when it happens again, you're ready for it. And also in the meantime, I may be able to call this guest in your behalf and give them another perspective. So again, if that open method or the open conversation isn't there, then we're probably losing quite a bit with servicing our guests.
Yeah, because it takes a team. It's going to, sometimes, like you said, somebody's going to be able to relate to that person in a different way, or maybe they're just going to hear it differently at a different time. But gosh, that communication, that debriefing, that ensuring that, you're discussing what went well. Sometimes from a training perspective, I've heard some really good trainers talk about, did you teach people what to pay attention to? Did you know the moment you lost the sale? Well,
Yep.
If you knew the moment you lost the sale, why didn't you do something about it? You just gave up. Well, maybe you as the trainer or the leader didn't show people what to pay attention to. So the more you can share those stories and make those part of the natural rhythm of the business, the better it's going to serve people. And sometimes you're going to come up with stories that were like, man, we turned that failure into an absolute fun fest. And that happens too.
Yes. 100%. We love to share in the success of the team. So we'll tell them to shout out your sale on an email. And I remember in the early days, a lot of people didn't want to share their successes. And I'm like, no, we get that energy. We strive with you. So that may even make me more competitive and want to beat you on the next sale. So you don't know how people interpret success. And we have all these different factors we try to do to touch everyone the way they learn and everyone the way they want to be celebrated. So again, so much you can learn from being in a sales organization. It's so much psychology into it, but more important is if you're being kind and you're understanding and you're curious as to why someone's doing what they're doing, it's much more fulfilling once you see them turn around and be like, oh, I understand what you're saying now, or that's a new perspective. I'll try that. And I don't know. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a different scenario every day.
Hey, if you're having fun, you've already won. Okay, so last thing. What do you stress Jason and Dean out with all your ideas?
Yeah, I must say, I come up with different things a lot. And one of the ways I failed swiftly, even in the beginning, was just that. I had an idea, and if it wasn't allowed for me to at least try it, I probably wouldn't be here right now. Because that's the same thing every other job I worked with. When I had an idea, they would just shut it down. But because of how my brain works, if I fail with it, okay, cool. I can tick that off as, all right, you tried, move on. So they let me try a lot of stuff, but I always know when Jason doesn't agree with it yet. So he'll be like, okay, you have 3 months, you do it in this one store and bring me data from it. So I'm like, okay, we're not just going to blindly put this out into the market. No,
Wait, give us an example. I mean, have you had a 3-month experiment that went well or went awry? Give us a story.
This one went awry. So I worked at Men's Warehouse and I did really, really well with the accessories, the lapel pins, the everything like that. So when I came over here, I was like, hey, why don't we have bundles, like accessory bundles? And we can do it like this. And, you just need to discount this a little bit, but the guests will buy more. And the concept was very simple. If you take care of the guests and tell them, hey, this is the sale price, they should buy it at this sale price. Well, I wasn't hearing that. I'm like, all right, this is what I've been doing. I've seen success this way. So I think you guys should do this, being very, very assertive there. So he's like, okay, you know what? You're going to try it. Do what you got to do to make this work. So I did Excel spreadsheets and I broke everything down that I think would work together. And because I put the time and effort into it, I saw success from it personally because I focus a lot on it. But then Dean would sell this another guest at full pop for one thing, and he outsold me in accessories still. So using just our two metrics of how I have to discount multiple products to get my bundle versus him just doing the process and taking care of the guests, in the 3 months, he still outbeat me doing it normally. So I'm like, okay, I concede, because everybody else that I tried to explain this to, they didn't get it. It didn't stick. It seemed like a lot more work, where for me, it was easy. So my lesson in that point was don't judge the book before you read it, because I wasn't even listening to what they were saying. I just thought my idea was cool, and I wanted them to change their whole thing because of what I thought was right. So that was one of the bigger ones, is that failed. we didn't adopt that until years later, because what I didn't realize I was missing was sheets. We didn't have sheets at that point. The sheets brought the bundles together, and we did great when we got sheets. But before that, it was only mattress protectors and pillows, and it didn't work as well.
Sheldon, you were just way ahead of your time. That's all I heard there. You're way ahead of your time. And I was going to say, because I talked to so many different people that not actually, that's not true. Not so many, but a few different retailers across the country that sell bundles, and they do it at the end. And they're like, hey, do you want bundle 1, 2, or 3? It's a good, better, best. And they're like, oh, I'll take number 2. And it's not even a question of do you want to buy it? It's which one do you want? And they absolutely crush it. And so, but again, you're way ahead of your time.
Now we can do the bundles and it works super well. But the other part that, again, another training thing for me, I always knew I wanted this position. So even before I started, when they showed me like the org chart and everything, they're like, oh, territory sales manager. I can do that. I can do that right now. And they're like, well, no. And I didn't understand why until they obviously explained it to me. No one would listen to me as a manager on duty. Even though I was saying the same things I'm saying today, I didn't earn it. There was no time put in. There was no method. I would do something that an area manager would do, and they won't listen. But as soon as I was an area manager, right away, that title gave me the ability to service the people. So that's one thing I learned, I guess, when I got here that was different from growing up. Everyone can do it, but the process that we do in America is very corporate, kind of corporate minded. Oh, you're the store manager, so you should know how to do this. You're the area manager, so you definitely should know how to do this. But entry level, they're like, why are you doing this? Like, I'm not listening to you yet. So that was a humbling experience for me too. You have to go through the steps. You have to prove that you can do it. Then you can lead. So that's another one that I had to learn over time.
Yeah, you got to. It's maybe even if you're ready and like you've been, you're ahead of your time. You still have to go through the process and to get permission, to gain permission, to essentially let everybody else onboard you into to be the people that they're willing to give their permission to and their ears to, and then do something with it. Because if you go out and you just beat that drum and nobody does anything with it, you're going to fail in that position. So, but it sounds like you've risen up through the ranks and done a fantastic job. It's an amazing group of people. I know we were on our group call, and Kelly Crystal said you're an absolute rock star, and it sounds like that's 100% the case. Sheldon, thank you so much for being on the FAM podcast. is I just love being able to sit down and talk with leaders in the industry and hear your perspective and hear your story. Great job telling your story. I'm glad you started doing that, because just by doing that one thing, just by telling your story, how many lives have you changed, I wonder, that you otherwise wouldn't have?
Oh, yes. So grateful, so thankful for, again, the mentorship over the years and changing perspectives and staying with it. Because, sometimes people change too quickly before they get their blessing. So I'm very happy and grateful that I stayed persistent and loving every moment of it.
I'm glad you're loving it. I love this industry. I believe in the purpose behind what we do. And it's our chance, I think, with every guest to change the trajectory of their lives, even if it's a little bit, even if it's just slightly more positive. And I think you do that all the time. Now, I have one request before we go. When I come to North Dakota, will you take me horseback riding?
100%, as long as it's not cold.
Now, I grew up on horses as well. My dad was literally a cowboy. He was a rodeo cowboy. And so he would do bulldogging, team roping, rode bulls for a while. So I grew up around horses and cattle, but I haven't been on a horse in a while. So I'm worried about my lower back. So we got to take it easy.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, it would be fun. Got a lot of trails that you can ride, and no, we try to host. We try to host, but it's cold 7 out of the 12 months. So it's you do it while you can. You do it while you can.
Well, here in Arkansas, where I live, I think it's hot about probably 7 of those months easily, if not more. So we'll have to flip flop here every once in a while and head up there. Well, hey, thanks, Sheldon, for it. Hey, how can people get in touch with you? Are you on LinkedIn?
I'm not on LinkedIn. I might have a LinkedIn. It's pretty old. I should update it. But
don't go to Sheldon's LinkedIn, because if he doesn't know if he has it, he's probably not going to be on there. I guess you could always go to the Mattress Firm South Dakota website, right?
Yep. I mean, we use Mattress Firm corporate site. But if you want to reach me directly, I mean, I can give you my information. I don't know, maybe.
Holler at me. Just drop it. Go to thefam.com. Drop me a note. I'll get you in touch with Sheldon if you want to connect with him further. Sheldon, thank you so much for being on the Fam Podcast. You're a great guy. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I hope that if the cattle wrangling happens, you're in full Kubota.
There you go. Sounds good. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.